wreath. I don't know if you'd seen the Valentine's Day tulip wreath. It's gone. It's old. But a lot of people were not thrilled that it didn't look like a true heart. And that's just the nature of trying, trying new things. You're not going to appeal to everybody, but I'm hoping this one will work out. We have done a wreath similar to this. I think we did it on a heart frame, and we did it for dog lovers. So we're kind of doing a little twist, a little variation for St. Patrick's Day. So a lot of prep work ahead of time. So I saved you a lot of prep time instead of watching me like wind and wind and wind. And I'm going to give you all the shortcuts I discovered along the way. I'll go over all the things, and disclaimer at the very front, I don't know how many pieces it's going to take until we finish it. Because as I'm building it, I'm defining it the way that I want to see it finished. And so rather than kind of stick to a script of exactly like, okay, it's going to take you X amount of pieces of this and X amount of pieces of that, I'll tell you everything that you need to have up front. And then feel free to add your own variation. Feel free to mix it up and, do something different, make things easier for you if you can. So if this is your first time joining, welcome. My name's Kat, and this is my design studio. They say it's 800 plus square feet, but honestly, most of it is up above. We are operating today at a cool 45 degrees in the shop. It is, I want to say, let me see, 32 degrees outside. We still have 6.5 inches of snow on the ground, and rain is forecasted tonight with temperatures dropping down into like the 20s. So does that mean we're going to get layers of ice on top of all that stuff? And then I'll also fill you in on what's going on with my dad, because so many of you have been reaching out, emailing me, messaging me, what's going on with your dad? Can you tell us anything about your dad yet? So back in December, just really quick, back in December, he had severe pain in his stomach area, and he had been diagnosed with a hernia. And so they thought that they'll get him in for this repair. Man, let me grab some water here really quick. And no, I'm not tearing up yet. So, long story short, the pain that he was experiencing wasn't hernia. It actually turned out to be, still is, stage 4 colon rectal cancer that has metastasized to his liver and his adrenal glands. So that hit us all hard at Christmas time. So I couldn't really talk about what was going on at Christmas. I was going to work through Christmas, and then I was like, well, I'm going to have to wait and see what Dad decides to do. Is he going to fight it? Is he going to quit? Where is his mental mind frame on all of this? He's choosing to fight it for now. He is no longer the same dad in personality that I remember from before. He is very, he's hopeful because he knows that when this life is over, he's going to go and be with Jesus. But he's not happy in how his later years, according to him, are panning out. He had thought that he would going to be able to enjoy his retirement, and now we still don't know an awful lot. He met with his oncologist last week, who is starting him on chemo treatment pills because it targets the specific type of cancer makeup that his body has for those processes. He had to have a colonoscopy, so went in for one procedure, came out with a totally different procedure. So it's an awful lot of adjustment for him, not to mention that I would say he's about 75% blind. So if you can imagine somebody having to manage a colostomy bag who's 75% blind, it's challenging beyond belief. So we're waiting to see how the first round of chemo goes with him, and then make some decisions. But if you could please keep him in prayer, I would wholeheartedly appreciate that. I am a firm believer in prayer. And so that's why I'm presenting it to you. So if you see me disappear, I will always let you know, hey, I had to go fly to California. It's an emergency for my dad, whatever. But I thought I would give you guys an update on where I've been and what's going on and why I haven't been able to say an awful lot, because we didn't really know an awful lot of stuff. And contrary to all those medical programs on TV, medical mysteries are not solved in less than an hour. And there's not all the people who do all the tests and all the test answers come back quickly. So there's that chunk of news. So with that, I'm very hopeful. And my dad hates it because when he calls and talks to me, he calls me bubbly. He goes, hey, how's it going, bubbly? It's because I refuse to change the demeanor and how I would talk with him on the phone. I was always very upbeat and very optimistic and hopeful and all that stuff. And so it's just really hard because not a lot has changed for him. He spends most of his time sitting in a chair, living from pain pill to pain pill until they figure out what they can do to try to relieve the pain. They can put him on a longer term pain medication, but if they do that, then he'll be more asleep than awake. And I don't know. For him, he needs to make that decision. So we're supporting him on whatever decision he has, whatever decision he decides to make. If he decides somewhere in the middle of it, he's tapping out, he's just going to wait, we'll be there and we'll support him. So thank you guys for all that. So you've seen my dad, because we've done a Facebook Live with my dad before. So there's all the news in a nutshell, in a very compacted nutshell. So well, let's go ahead and get started. You ready? Okay, I'm going to pivot you down. So let's go through the materials portion so that you guys can see everything that you need in order to put one together. So obviously we're doing the Dollar Tree St. Patrick's Day frame. And let me go ahead and remove this. I'm going to show you the steps, and then we're going to kind of like push it forward as fast forward as I possibly can. So the beginning stage of this, it's like almost a 3-step process. We're going to be wrapping the inside and the middle wire in twine. So I want this to kind of have a little bit of a rustic look to it, but still retain the integrity of the shape. Because that's what everybody's like. It doesn't look like a shamrock anymore. It doesn't look like a heart anymore. So we're going to try, okay? That's all we can do. So we're going to be wrapping, and I'm just going to show you specific key places that you're going to be challenged depending on the materials you use. So I just went to like my local home improvement, and I want to say this is probably 1/8 of an inch because it's 1/2 of a quarter. So I chose to do this to give it a more like a solid look rather than type of twine you have. So we're going to wrap the inside, and the challenging areas will always be corners. So I'm going to show you how to handle the corners, and then I'm going to show you how we're starting and the challenges. So the first thing you're going to encounter if you have something like this that's on a large spool, obviously you're going to start probably right here at the bottom, and I'm going to just use my glue gun right here, and I'm going to lay a bead of glue right here down that center piece. I'm trying to get that up and over, and I want a slight overlap on the back. So right there on the top. Okay. And then when I flip it over, I'm going to go ahead and tag that to the back now. And I'm pretty particular on what I want. I don't want to see any gaps, and I don't want to see the frames. I don't know about you guys, but that's like it's game over kind of thing for me. I'm not a fan if I can see the frame. So whatever way you do it, however way you want to hide your mechanics is going to be totally up to you. So, and I've already kind of created myself in a bind. So I'm just going to pull out a handful of this so that I don't have to manage that entire roll. But that is the first challenge you have. So you have to get everything into this very small area right here. And so how are you going to take your twine and fit it in between here? I can see bringing it up and over, but since we're only wrapping the center section, that poses to be a little bit of an issue. And as you can see right now, our twine is not matching up, which means that there's a bigger gap on the outside than there is on the inside. So I always say, create manageable chunks for you to get through. And this is how you're going to handle your corners. You're going to go all the way around, right? We went from under, wrapped it over, and then what you're going to do is wrap the entire bottom frame by itself one time. Okay, that'll put a little bit of a space in between there. So now when you go up and over, you've got everything in place. And from time to time, if you feel like it, you can add glue, but I always recommend if you're going to add glue, do it to the back because we don't want to see that from the front. So I always create like little stop margins for me so that everything lays well. Oops. I'm going to go in right here and just create that other loop. And then you're just going to continue at this point, and I hold it pretty firm on here, and you just have to find a groove that works with you. If you're doing this inside the house with like a burlap, this is kind of like a burlap jute twine, it sheds a lot. So just before this, I had to run the vacuum in my kitchen because I did not realize how much stuff comes off of that as you're wrapping. So just when you get your groove on, you can do this while you're watching a movie. Unless it's a really good movie, then you're probably not going to pay much attention to what you're doing. But as you can see, I'm keeping my tension there because I don't want gaps. I want it to stack really nicely on top of each other so that you have a really nice look. So just like that. I'm going to zoom in just so you guys can see that one more time because I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm going to zoom way in so you guys can see. So it starts to move. So I'm only wrapping the center. If you're going to tag it so that it doesn't continue to slide on you, do it from the back. Just like that. For some reason, I found it easier to do it on the back than to do it on the front. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the shape of the frame, that little concave like it's bubbling in. It was less room for me. So you just keep going on and on and on. And again, when you get to the corners and you know you have more real estate here in the corner, you're going to wrap. So what I mean is you're going to wrap your outside wire just like this. You're going to go all the way around to give yourself a little spacer so that you can bring that in further. So that will fill this section and still keep it even. And you can do that as often as necessary. I think I found it sometimes in between here, definitely along here, definitely in here, around here, ooh, way around here. But you have those easy avenues where everything goes really, really well. So you're just going to keep going, and however you want to wrap that. Some people prefer a thicker rope look. I wanted it more along the line of like a burlap kind of look. You're just going to continue to do that until you're all the way finished, all the way around your whole first intersection of your wreath. That is going to help you keep the shape going. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys for questions as I go through this. What questions do you guys have that I can answer for you? And I haven't even like, ooh, man. Okay, let me go ahead and put stuff here. So, because we just went into a very big moment. Okay. Oh, I can't even type. I can't even type today. And my heater is burning. It is burning. I guess it's better than cold, but it feels nice outside because I was cleaning before, and then you know how that is when you're cleaning. Everything is hot. You're like, oh my God, why does somebody have the heater on? Because it's cold outside. Let me do this. Come on, pen. Okay, so my website is pinned down to the bottom. This wreath is available for sale there. You don't see the picture. It's just a, what we call a placeholder. It just says Cat's Creations Facebook Live. So once you do this all the way around, let me show you what it's going to look like. Da, da, da. Because no one got time to do that. This is what it looks like when it's all the way done. So once you have that all the way done, it does not take a ton. It just takes time. And it takes me more time than it probably should, because I want my spacing to all be like precise. I don't want to see any gaps or no holes. I don't know where that came from. I think I'm becoming more like my dad in my old age, being way too particular. But you can get this at like Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, Joann's, Michael's. You can even go and get the bigger Dollar Tree rope. But let me show you what that looks like. Just so you know, you're going to be doing it a lot thicker. So we're going from this measurement. This is the Dollar Tree nautical rope versus this. So we're looking at about a 1/2 inch to an 1/8 of an inch. I think it takes about, and I don't quote me on it because I haven't done it, because this is only 9.5 feet, and I don't know. I would have to wrap it to figure out exactly how many rolls of this would it take to get that going. So once you've wrapped it, we're going to save this stem for afterwards. We are now going to put ribbon on it. And the ribbon that I've chosen is all 2.5 inch. We're doing a 2.5 inch twist. You can do 1.5 inches. You're just going to need a little bit more of it, or not, depending upon your style. So all the ribbon, I think I'm doing 3. We'll have to wait and see. I really wanted to do this color green and this. So we'll see if we have enough. I'm trying to think. I think I was looking at maybe alternating like a dark and light compared with this all the way around. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. So 6-inch pieces. These are all dovetail cut. All the ribbon, with the exception of the dark green with a, I guess it's almost like a black and a tan. It's from Joann's. Joann's? No, Michael's. Michael's a couple years ago. But all the other stuff is from Craft Outlet. So, dovetailing their pieces. So, here's our 6-inch pieces. Let me show you how to build these, because you can tell I was like cutting feverishly. You will need, again, I don't know how many pieces. It's all going to depend on the final look you want to achieve. So some people might use more, some people might use less. It's entirely up to you. So starting with a 6-inch piece, we're going to dovetail the ends, which is just bring your wired edges together. You're going to cut from the folded side to the wired point. And because these ribbons are a little bit smaller, I don't want to do my usual standard V in here. Otherwise, we wouldn't have much ribbon left. So just like that, gives you a dovetail on both sides. If you cut it from the wired side to the folded point, you will get an arrow and not a dovetail. It'll actually point up this way. You just cut from the wrong side. So always cut from the folded side to the wired end. Then you'll never make a mistake. Okay, so what you're going to do to make the pieces that go right underneath this, we are going to use the clover pieces for this. I find, because this ribbon is like a polyester, it's almost like a satin, so it's really slippy for me to try to gather. So if I use my little silicone glue mat, it's easier for me to grab. And you can fold it in half to come up with the middle if you want. I'll do that right now so you can see. And what you're going to do is gather at that midway point. And I like to find the first end. Instead of scrunching this way, I'm scrunching this way, and you'll see why. So I'm just going to gather, because I have a lot of grip, with that silicone mat. And we are going to bend it together, so we kind of have a little point. And that's why we do that first weird fold. We're going to put a little bit of glue here. We're going to pinch it together. And because people don't have time, nor do I, to sit here and wait for the glue to dry, if you get a little chip clip, a clothespin, you can go ahead and glue all your pieces in place until you have enough, and then you can start attaching them, which is kind of what I've already done. So I have pieces to show you the fold, and then there's going to be another one that goes on the outside. So we have the twine on layer 1. We're going to have these folded pieces, which are going to go and glue to the back side of our twine. And then we're going to be covering this outside rail with our third type of ribbon. Again, it's good if you have full rolls of ribbon. That way you will be assured that you have more than enough. When I started cutting this one, the ribbon was already cut into it. I don't know if I'm going to have enough, but we can make it work. So once these are glued, I'm going to go ahead and let that one sit a little bit longer. Once these are glued into those little funky, I call them like, they're almost like butterflies. Like when I start to fold them, they look like butterflies. We are going to take them. We're going to flip this over. So I haven't sped this one up. We're going to actually have to walk ourselves through this process and figure out how many is it going to take. But what you want to do is you want, I think, about halfway. I'm kind of looking because I'm trying to figure out, like when we did the dog paw print wreath, remember we kind of did these up underneath and they sat on top of the other rail. That's kind of the look that we're going for here. So when I flip this over, we're about halfway. So halfway, all the way along here, is where I'm going to start adding these individual pieces. So I'm going to start here at the beginning where we started this. And I'm going to try to get that one in as close as I possibly can. Starting at the halfway point, we can just glue here. And I think by the time I did the dog paw print, I got so tired of waiting. We just, we ran the glue all the way down. So there's one, and I'm thinking there's going to be 6 pieces that'll fit in this bottom section. It's the largest section that we're doing. So again, gluing here, feeding this up, flipping this over. This is what I'm thinking I'm going to have to glue to my other side. Let me flip this over and see how I like that looking. I really like the way that looks. And remember, you can fluff so we can spread these out so they're not so consolidated. It all depends on you and the look that you want. You can see where the glue is getting all stuck in that section. So I'm going to go ahead and put one right here. I'm going to grab that one that we had. Lift this up. I'm going to add this right in here. I'm going to straighten out my ribbon because we will be able to fluff those up once we get them in place. So I'm going to place this one a little further apart. And we're just going to come in and tag that there. and halfway. I'm hoping this part will go a little quicker because all the pieces are already made. So I'm just making sure that they're all right-sided, like they're all facing the same direction. So see how that's looking? It looks so pretty. And then we can come back in and we can fluff along the lines of whatever we would like to do. So I'm going to go ahead and put another piece here. When we get to that weld section where we've got that one here, we're going to have to kind of get creative and figure out, okay, how can we hide that? Or do we hide it and just move on? Okay, so there's 6, and I'm going to keep going as I go all the way around, just taking all of my pieces, and I'm bringing this one up, trying to figure out, okay, what can I do here? Maybe if I lean them in, will I be able to get rid of that? If I keep that one really close, we might be able to hide it. But do you like the look of what you're seeing so far? I'm going to flip this one over. I'm going to put this one as close to the weld as I possibly can. And then we're going to go ahead and put in our second. Second piece in. If you wanted to, you could use your clothespins and hold them in place, but I don't think you're going to need it, because as long as you're just assembling that all together, I think you should be okay. So there's that one. So I think the 6, although there's some smaller sections coming, so I don't know that they'll necessarily need 6. But I think I made enough to garner 6 in every single section. So I'm just making sure the orientation of my ribbon is the same. And if we need to add more, we're going to add more. Okay. So just like that one, you're going to kind of let it fan out. From time to time, flip it over and check the placement of your ribbon. Look how pretty that looks. It looks so festive, right? And this is a great design if you have a ton of ribbon that is left over, but it's all green and you just want something unusual to do for that particular design. So we're going to put one more in because we've got our weld. So I'm going to squeeze one in here. So right in there. And then we're going to go ahead and add our next one really close to that weld. So just up and over, close to the weld so that it helps hide that. Kathy says, I like that you come up with the unique ideas for the Dollar Tree rails. Oh man, wait, are you going to see what we're going to do with the rabbit head? I don't know. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know. I think that might lend itself into a wreath attachment because I don't know that people are going to want to build it, but it's going to look amazing because I'll show it. Well, I can't show it to you, but we're gonna try to craft it and create it. But yeah, I'm all about the Dollar Tree frames because I think you can still make a great product, and not everybody's got deep budgets to afford, you know, a ton of money on wreath making supplies. We just don't, you know. So I'm bringing these in. So my frame right here is a little thinner. as you can tell. But I still want my tips to be the same. So I'm bringing them in just a touch tighter. Okay. Bringing it in and dropping it in place. Let's see what that looks like from the front side and see if we're happy with the results. So far, so good. And we can come in afterwards and we can fluff all of these ribbon pieces so they all lay super cute. So right here, we're getting into this weird area where I was like, okay, so once these ones are in, aren't they going to kind of bunch up on each other? We might just end up following the pattern and see what ends up happening. We might just end up going out this way. So let's look. Sometimes, why do we work ourselves into a corner like that? So again, I'm going to lean this one in a little closer so we can hide that frame. Right here. And I'm always bringing it up to the right, and then I lay it down into the glue that I have. Okay, let me look at what this placement looks like here, because we don't want sections down. Let us see. We do. I think I'm going to leave it so that it I'm just laying the pieces in place to see how I like that to be. So I think I'm going to go cut along these lines right here. So it's a little bit different. And I think we'll squeeze one more in right here. But I think I like the layout of that a little bit better. So rather than kind of have them all, you know, bunched up and sitting on top of each other, I'm just trying to keep their little pleated folds along that same line. And then as I've added these, if you look how they kind of got placed in on the frame. So we're going to do our first one right here. Just kind of leaning in on an angle. Right there. Just till we make the turn. Then we're going to come in here. And I think this is the look. I'm going to double check it before I glue it. I think that was the way I wanted it to go. Let me look at a different piece. Like that. Yeah. Okay. So, come in here until we can get them to where they start going straight. Okay. Then in here. Making the turn. Trying to get this one all refolded. Okay, so I'm going to check for proper placement first. Look how cute that looks. Isn't that adorable? Super cute. Okay, I like the way that's working. So we're going to keep going. I just have to remember that when we get here. So I'm going to place one right here. Bringing this in so that we can cover that rail. And then this one's going to fan out to help cover that section. Up. And place this right on top. Okay, we're going down. And I want to make sure that I've got all my pleats in there too. It's like pleated little corners. Let's use a different piece. Okay, one here. So I'm just going to refold this one. Sometimes they get folded when I was sticking them in the paper clip. So sometimes you just got to put them all back in place. Whoop. We need this to lay flat. There we go. And we'll twist one in here. Okay. Trying to get this one to fan right there. So those kind of come together. Let's check the front. Look how cute! It's all coming together. So nice. So far so good, right? Okay, let's keep going. I'm actually going to start here and work my way up because we've got that funky section right here. And I want to make sure we have more than enough to get that inside. So, because it's easier to do it when you're coming up rather than like here, it's easier to align my pieces once I have these ones all fitted inside. I have all my pieces. Okay. And like I said, this is 2.5 inch ribbons, so if you did it with 1.5 inch ribbon, you might need a little bit more, or you might just fan yours out a little better and choose to let the width of your ribbon fill the design space. Okay. Lining these ones back up again. There we go. I gotta get that corner down. And one right here. Back up. Lay the corners flat. Even the back looks so nice. And I'll go over with you the petals again, because you're probably going to need to know how to do that. Because I only made, how many did I make? I was factoring in 6 per section, but I'm actually putting those in there a little thicker. So, let us see. Trying to get that fold. It's folding weird. There we go. Again, from the front, coming along nice. And I have my glue right now set on, it's on low, just because I have put my finger in the glue, which wasn't really fun, which is what I always tell you, is make sure you have a dual temperature glue gun and that you have that on low when you're working with your hot glue. Okay. Again, fold them out. And now you can understand why you need full rolls of ribbon, because you're going to use a lot of ribbon. And originally I was thinking, okay, well, what if I chose to do it 6 inches? Well, it would hang out on the bottom a little longer. You don't really need that, because when we come back in to cover that bottom bar, I'm going to show you what we're doing there. Okay. And again, we want the ribbon side down. We don't want the ribbon up. Let's pull all the glue out of there. We'll put one right here. And then we're going to need to make some more of those to fill. Okay. Ooh, we are out of glue. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Carmen. No, this rope is not from the Dollar Tree. It is from, I think I got it from Home Depot, because I needed it for twine, for all my Christmas ornaments. And so I was like, oh, hey, I happen to have twine. Let's just use twine. Okay. Again, let's get that flipped over. And we're coming up to our weird section. Okay. So it goes pretty quick, like a sous chef, right? When everything's already prepared and all the petals are built, because that's honestly the most time-consuming part, is building all the petals. These little things, these are what I call petals. And making sure that they're all in the right place. And we're getting ready to do that weird turn. So remember, these are going to kind of come in at an angle, but I am out of my existing petals, so we're going to demo a couple of these petals again. So if you joined late, you're going to be able to see these. These are 6-inch pieces of 2.5-inch ribbon, dovetailed. This is why I said it looks like a butterfly. And you're going to bend that around. And I'm just going to glue that together. Pinch it. Grab a, what do you call it? Clothespin. So dovetail is bringing the wired edges together, cutting from the folded side to the wired point. That's prepping that 6-inch piece. Again, folding, just pinching up the middle. And then we're folding those around. like you're almost doing a pleat. And right where I have my finger is where I'm putting a little dot of glue so that I can have that kind of pinched together like that. There's that one. And we're just going to do a couple of these pretty quick. There's that. So then we can make our last 6 petals. I think it should be our last 6. I think. Fold. You're just bringing the 2 ends together. Right where you've got that little U, you're adding a dab of glue. I just keep the clothespin in it so it'll keep that shape till the glue dries. Let's zoom in on that so you can see. So we're gathering. I just use the silicone mat just because the ribbon I'm using is like a satin. It's like an imitation satin. So I guess it'd be polyester. Making sure I've got it straight. Little dab of glue. Pinch it together. And let's see if we've got the last one. We might have to cut just a couple more pieces of ribbon. Okay, squeeze in, pin it, and then I'm going to start with the ones that we already have. So I'm squeezing these in a very similar fashion like we're doing these. They're all going to be at an angle, kind of dovetailing in. Bringing this up, sliding it over, getting it under the bar. Under the bar, right into the glue. Okay, same thing here. And I think we have it exactly. So, that being said, how many of these pieces did I use? I had 9 sections, 6 pieces in each, 54 pieces, folded and glued in place, just like so. So, when we flip this over, there is our really super gorgeous St. Patrick's Day wreath so far. Oop, sorry. I always forget. I zoom in and then I forget. I'm still zoomed in. You can't see anything. So I am going to finish the stem before we add in our last layer of ribbon. And for the stem, we're just doing the same thing. We're just wrapping the twine. So I am going to start at the top, right up here. And I'm going to do an overlap. So I'm going to go up and there we go. Up and over. Just like this. And now because we don't have to worry about big ball of twine. I don't have to cut it into manageable pieces. I can just simply get this in and push it up. So this should go really quick. And we're all just going to push it forward so it stays the same. Tightening as we go. If you feel like it's starting to slip and you want to tack it, remember I always said tack it to the back. And then continue to wrap until we get all the way down to the end. And then we have our stem that looks very much like the top inside part of our design. And now we're going to come into that challenging part where we've got the shape changes. Let's see if this is going to work out. I'm going to tag it on the back just so I don't have to keep holding it. Pushing it up. And continue to wrap, wrap, wrap. Whoop, all the way through. And should have done the end a little bit differently. We will see what we can do there. I'm going to tag again because we're getting into a wider area. And it's got this weird knot here. So I'm trying to pull it so I can pull that to the back side. So it'll be on the back of the wreath and not on the front. So see how we've got a wider end here? So I am going to cut that down so that I can show you that weird wrap where you're going to wrap around to take up the slack. And whoop, see, I didn't want to stay. It wants to, just not at the bottom. Okay, going around. We're going to tag it here. We're on the back, so I'm good. So I'm going to lay that one in, pushing it up. And then from here, I'm going to do something just a little bit different. See if we can get this to work. Tag the bottom. Bring this back up. Bringing it up. It's going to have to hold in place. And I'm going to go right down the center here. So when I lay that, and thankfully the twine got thicker there, so that when we go over, look how gorgeous that looks. We've got this that matches our inside. So I do have to end this right here on the end. And then I'm going to flip it over and secure it on the back right here. And then we'll go ahead and trim that off and glue that little piece in place. And we have finished our stem, and we only have one more thing to do. We've got to add in our ribbon that's going to hide and cover that outside frame. But look how cute that looks so far. You can totally tell it is a shamrock, a 3-leaf clover. So now what we want to do is flipping it over, because you're going to work this one from the back side now, a little bit different. So to determine the way you want it to look, we have these pieces. So rather than fold them the way that we have, we're going to feed these in like so. Okay. And you're going to get them situated. Make sure they're even. And you're going to slide all those down. And you're going to give them just a little slight squishy. Just a little slight squishy. Not a lot of squishy. And you're going to glue right along your frame so that when we smush together, our ribbon stays together. And this is how we're going to hide the outside frame. Now I'm hoping that I really don't want to use this other ribbon, but let me see what it looks like. Who knows? Maybe it'll look cool. Maybe it won't. I only have enough for 6 in each section. So let me look. If I squish, let me look and see what that looks like from the other side. I'm going to bring this ribbon to the front. I do like the two-tone look because we do have a two-tone look going in our clovers, so we're going to do that. So again, lay glue down about halfway on your frame. Make sure that it's lifted up and start squishing your ribbon down. Okay. Up and over. These ones, we don't need to try to pack them in. They are just coverage for the back. So making sure they're even. Slide it down. I'm going halfway so that as I squish my ribbon, everything's getting glued in place. So I'm just alternating those colors, and I'll show you what that section looks like once we're finished. I think we're going to be able to get maybe 5 in here. Okay. And we've got our lighter plaid. Trying to get those in there. It's going to be challenging to get it in those weird places where it's tight, but you guys can do it. We're going to bring that up so it's even because we've got that corner we're working with, and we've got the rail. So I squished just a little bit, but not an overabundance. But look how cute that looks with the two-tone plaid going on here. So it's giving it a little bit more wider defined shape. I wish I could snap my fingers and be like, and here's the finished product. But Kat does not have that much free time to prep everything ahead of time. That much so. So again, just measure, open it. I'm only laying a bead of glue down halfway so that as I squish my ribbon, it's just keeping that edge together. And I know you guys are going to already ask the question, how are you going to finish the back? I'm not. You could put felt on it, but I actually like how nice and neat and organized this looks. Okay, we're doing our darker colors. And again, this ribbon is 6 inches in width or length. It's 2.5 inch ribbon. This is doing, like when we did the dog wreath, we did it with 1.5 inch ribbon and not 2.5 inch. So this one's doing it a little bit differently. And I like the double tartan look. So sliding it under, so then that really hides the frame and gives it a more finished look around the outside. What do you guys think so far? I mean, we're kind of figuring it out together. Figuring out the corners, figuring out the curves. I've watched some people when they did their demo, they don't even tell you how to get through the difficult parts. Like, well, what happens when your twine doesn't sit right? How do you get it to go around the corners and look the way that it does? So I made sure that where I struggled, that I was discussing with you guys, okay, this is what I found. This is how I fixed it. Let me show you. And I'm just, this one's got a tight squeeze because we're getting that in next to that weld. I will bring these up and then make sure that's cinched. And then we'll keep going. I think we're going to have the same challenge here. So we might not just go as thick on the ribbon going around the end. Okay, let's get that situated. Getting around those corners is challenging. And then making sure your ribbon is even. So we've got small little sections right here at the top. And I'm trying to pull the glue as I finish each little section. It's very, loves the burlap. Okay. Going around our first turn. Laying it flat. I'm so afraid I am going to skip and not remember to change the color of the ribbon. Like, I'll just end up putting 2 of the green side by side. I think this would probably be a 20 to 25 minute video if you edit it all the way down for YouTube. Because you could just snap. Okay, you showed them how to put it on. Okay, move on to the next step. Okay, move on to the next step. And I've asked, did you guys want to see all the steps, or do you want little shortcut versions? And you guys are like, no, we want to see you build it real time. Okay. Squishing that corner in where we've done the corner before. So I'm going to just do one. Well, it's going to be hard. I'm going to have to squish one way in here. I didn't realize that the weld was right there. So I'm just going to push one in here. Nice and tight. Just to fill that gap. Okay. And then we're moving into the next section, which is over here. Have you guys noticed, if you haven't checked out my latest YouTube videos, what I have done is I have gone down and edited the videos to put specific chapter points in. They call them automatic chapters, but I put those in for you so that you can just cut to a section of the video that you're looking for. For example, when did she end the twine? When is she adding the outside ribbon? How did she do the stem? It'll all be little categorized stop points. So for those of you like me that just fast forward to get to the information you need, I've done that for you as well. Okay. So I hope you guys like that. It's a lot of editing just to put chapters in. They're like little breaks in the video. Not video breaks, but breaks in the video where you can just move to the next section of the tutorial. Fluffing ribbon, making the ribbon, adding the bow, putting the sign on. Let's look at what that looks like so far. What do you guys think so far? Do you like the way that's looking? I'm trying to find the other tail. Here's the other tail. We're coming around the outside corner. It's starting to get some weight on this from adding all that ribbon, which is good. You want weight. You don't want it to feel so lightweight. You're like, wait a second. There's nothing to this wreath, which is good. This is storm door friendly. This will fit on your storm door space. So we're going to squeeze 2 into this space because it's enough for 2. And we're coming up to the top. So here's our last little section as we're making our way to the top of her design. And I'm going to pause. I will stop so we can put our hanger on. Although you don't really need to because you can find the hanger from here, but we'll put one on anyway. The problem with adding hangers is if people like their wreath to swag a certain way, like they don't want it to hang straight up and down. Of our wreath, we can go ahead and add a hanger to this. And the weight. I'm like always so particular because I want to make sure that it hangs right before I do it. And we're going to do a twine hanger. So let us cut this way down. So we're going to go right in here. And I'm going to add my twine hanger. I think that's way too long. Let's take it down that far. We'll just do a double knot inside. So it's super cute. And then that still hangs to the center. So now we've added our hanger. You could add a bow to this. You could add more embellishments. I want it fairly simple. Sometimes I think simple is best. Sometimes I think we think, oh, well, we need to put a ton of embellishments on it. But the nice thing about this is because it is not St. Patrick's Day specific, meaning there's no Happy St. Patrick's Day ribbon, this could be used year-round for someone who is of Irish descent, who wants something in their home that is very much part of their culture. Adding this one in. We're almost halfway. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Is there any questions you have about this process? Any questions you have that I can take the time to answer for you? Even those of you on YouTube that are going to be catching this as a replay of an earlier Facebook Live, you can still pose your questions because I do go through and read your comments. And our rain is late. We're supposed to get rain. Well, it's supposed to be starting right at 5. So I guess it's not all together late. Maybe I'm just early. The alternating plaids are beautiful. Well, thank you, Mary. I wasn't really sure if I was going to like that, but I didn't realize that I had, I was contemplating, do I have enough materials? Because I didn't want it specific to St. Patrick's Day. So I didn't want ribbon with pots of gold on it or leprechauns. So I opted to go with a green plaid, like a tartan plaid, instead. And I wasn't sure how I would like the look, but I agree with you. I like the alternating colors because the shamrocks on the front are light and dark. So we're squeezing this one in our last section here. Moving on to our next one. So we have 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 more sections, and then we'll be done. And then I've been asked, well, what if you put the folded ribbon on first? Then could you add the other ribbon? I think it would be a little hard to do because you've got to get that under and then get it laying just right. And so I think it'd be a little hard to do if this ribbon was already in place. I thought about that too. Always measuring to make sure it's straight. Slide it down so it's where you need it to be. Glue about halfway, and I'll zoom in on this. Did you tie the light green on? No. So this light green is glued on to the twine that is wrapped around that first section of frame. Like we first put the twine on, wrapped that whole first section, like on the Dollar Tree Shamrock Form. You have 2 sections. This just has like 3 rails. So we glued it, we did the shamrock section, and then this is our second section we're wrapping. So this one just got glued directly onto the twine on the back side. Getting all tight in there. Okay, we've got this one that we're bunching in right here. And we're getting around the difficult corners. The corners were the challenge, to try to make sure that our ribbon wasn't just shoved in there, like bunching it in. Pushing it in. Okay, so let me show you what I'm doing. Wow, I can actually see my breath out here. That tells you the temperature's dropped. Okay, so I'm gluing halfway on the frame. I close it and then I just squish it down. And then I just lay it flat. just like that. So right under here. Open that up. Here's our section, and then we're sliding it over, opening it up, laying a bead of glue halfway down that rail. I start from the bottom and I match, and then I just push the rest so that it all slides together. We're still frozen in Dallas. Kathy says, supposed to warm up above freezing. Yeah, that's what they say about us here too. This is probably the longest we've had snow sit on the ground. And every morning, my morning chores now consist of heating up boiling hot water, taking that boiling hot water out to my chickens, not to boil the chickens, but to unfreeze their water and unfreeze the things that have frozen overnight. The chickens are fine. But I am like heartbroken. One of our neighbors told us yesterday that one of the fawns died in this storm that we've had. This really weird cold snap and snow. He found the fawn on the back part of his property. Jeannie, I am in my shop braving the elements. So I'm heartbroken. And I think I know what fawn it was, because there was one fawn that we saw with her mom, and she just was not gaining weight like the other ones. She stayed really small. Okay, this one we're squishing all together. So now it's one less fawn. We'll see. I mean, how does that happen? Animals that live outside, I guess it's just like us. There's the normal, and then there's the non-normal. Like for them, this is probably colder, because we've had a really weird, warm Christmas, and then we get this weird 6-inch snowfall, and the animals just can't adapt. Not all of them can adapt fast enough. Okay. Halfway up, slide, squish down. The great thing about this design too is it's so nice to store. It's extremely cold up there in Canada. Ugh, Cheryl, okay, what is extremely cold? I'm sure it's nothing like what we've been complaining about. My poor daughter who lives in Oklahoma is dealing with like single-digit temperatures during the day and during the night. And I'm like, what the heck? You have our weather. We're almost finished. Okay. By the way, in case you guys are wondering, the private group is still open. I'm sending out a newsletter this week that shares with you the schedule of everything we're doing in our Back to Basics classes for both the business side of things and the design side of things, so that if you guys want to join us, you can. And it's everything you've ever wanted to know with a foundation added. So we just did brand training today to give new business owners some things to think about with their brand. What kind of brand do they want to be? Because only they can tell me, you know, what kind of business do you want to be? How do you want to be recognized? the simple things that we forget when we're just in a hurry to hurry up and open our Etsy shop and start selling things we don't even think of. Taking all the things that I've learned, sharing it with everybody. We're on the home stretch. And I'm hoping that I have enough of this ribbon that I don't have to cut anymore. I might have to cut like 1 or 2 pieces of the darker plaid. Because originally I just cut everything that I had on that lighter plaid. Because I was hoping, depending on how I laid it out, that I would have more than enough. But I like things full. Okay. The glue's drying really fast. That's the good thing, because it's cold. So it doesn't have to, like, even when we were adding the interior attachments, we didn't have to wait very long. It just, like, stick it and we're good. Move on. So slide it down and scrunch it. And we're getting right up here. Because I think if we added a bow, I think it would lose the point of why we did this design the way that we did. Which was, hey, how can you do a Dollar Tree wreath frame and still keep the integrity and shape, knowing it's a shamrock? I think we're going to have just enough. I don't think we're going to have to do any more. So we're going to squish that down. And we're going to squeeze that last little piece in right here. And we are going to be done. So I kind of have to fold this one because it is such a small little piece. And there's no sense in us putting it right here on the little end, because you can't see it. But let me show you what it looks like on the front. Ready? That is our final finished shamrock wreath that is ready. Now it's officially ready to ship. Let's give you the size dimensions on this so that you know. Let's see. How far? We didn't really exceed the frame dimension. So if we're going ribbon tails to ribbon tails, we're at 21 inches, which means on a diagonal, could we get that? We could get it in an 18-inch box and it would be fine. Even if you had to fold these up to get them to fit in, and then when you get it home, you can fluff it to your desired look. Cheryl says, I'm hoping our Dollar Tree up here has one of these frames. I'm hoping so too. It's not quite, I'm thinking it has to be coming out soon. I think Valentine's Day is still out right now, but let me show you what this looks like on the door so you can see size-wise what we're looking at. Hi, everyone. Wow, that's just weird to see my voice there, to see my breath out here. I'm like, that was just the cool thing to do when you were a kid. Let's see our breath. Okay, so here we've added the twine. This is the back side of our wreath. Looks just as pretty as the front, but not really. And then here is our hanger. So we can hang this right from there. Tell you where all your glue threads are so that, look how cute that is. That looks absolutely adorable. Let me try something really quick. let's make a simple bow. So I'm going to pivot you back down so you can watch me hand tie a simple ribbon for this design. So hang on, back down. Let's add a bow, just so that if a client wants it, they can add a bow or take the bow off. So we're going to make a simple one. Put a straight cut on that. So super simple hand-tied ribbon. Well, we have to dovetail first. Okay. And I'm going to look at approximately where would I want that to be. Here's the tails. So I'm thinking, I was going to say 6 inches, 7 inches. Let's go 7. Okay. So we're twisting at the 7. I just have it gathered. And then I'm going to do a 7-inch loop, which makes it basically 3.5 inches. So we're going to twist. We're going to measure out another 7 inches. We're going to bring that together and twist. We're going to bring it together and twist. And let's do one more. Bring it to the center. Twist. And then we're going to make our tail. So I have it here all twisted and held in my hand. And I'm going to do a super simple little bow, a double loop bow. So I'll bring that down. We will dovetail the other end. And then, let me grab the wreath off the door. That if you wanted to add a bow, because I'm going to include it, it's gift with purchase. Comes with a bow you can add on, or take the bow off if you don't like the bow look. So, fluff, 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 right? It's all about the fluffing. So, you could add your bow at the top. You could add it to the side. You could add it to the bottom. If we add it right in here, you guys already know where the frame is. Hello, it's right there on the back side. So I'm going to move this here. I'm going to grab my bow. I'm going to twist and drop that right in place. Remember that little loop that we had on the back that we didn't quite fill? Well, here you go. Here's a super simple, adorable, easy peasy lemon squeezy wreath design. You can even take a little shamrock if you wanted to and tuck that right in the side. Or you could take this and plop that right in the center. Let's just add a emerald green, scatters and fillers right there. I'm going to pivot you back up. Hi all. I didn't want you to miss out on the bow thing. I could have done it really quick, but then I'm not really teaching you if you're not seeing it. So let's see what it looks like. So bow is optional. If you don't want the bow on, you just untwist it from the back and pull it off. But if you want to leave it on, I want to take my ribbon, make sure I tuck my ribbon behind that. Look, we made a super simple, cute little bow to go on our design. What do you guys think? Once again, here's all that stuff with twine. You get those little slight imperfections. So yeah, this is available on my website today. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you shop my website, you get lots better pricing than you do if you go to the Etsy shop. But some people still like to go to Etsy. So this is already there. Just doesn't have the picture. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your prayers. For my dad, going forward. And I will see you on Thursday for another new design. So I can't wait to show you that one. Okay, talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.